Welcome to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. Hope you're having a great day as we continue to celebrate all the great people who are making coastal Mississippi and Mississippi, for that matter, such a great place to live, work, and play. I love saying that at the beginning of each show because I really believe it, and it's been a wonderful opportunity to learn from some just really awesome leaders in the community, people who are doing so many different things from all walks of life. But one of the commitments I've made is to get all the mayors on by the end of the year, certainly by the first week in January. And we've had Kenny Holloway and Fofo Gillage and Jay Trapani. And today we have my friend, the mayor of the city of Moss Point, Billy Knight. So my hero, Billy Knight. Billy, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm fine, Rick. It's always good to visit with you, man. And as I said, I really appreciate you always keeping Moss Point in mind and inviting me to come on to talk about what we're doing in the city. So I appreciate you and your team for doing that.
Well, I know that I know that you feel that way, and it's very sincere. But on my side, I wouldn't have it any other way because I love following the success of Moss Point and your leadership of Moss Point. It's been terrific. And no matter who I talk to, Mayor, you have a lot of supporters across this coast, and there's not a mayor in coastal Mississippi who wouldn't get a call from you and not help you do something. I mean, and you know that for a fact, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I'm very humbled and honored to know that too, Rick, because they do express that to me when I see them. And Rick, I really appreciate it, but Rick, I don't think too much about it because it's just part of my nature. I just come in every day and do my job, and it's always good to know that other people recognize what you're doing. And I'm glad I'm doing a well enough job that people do recognize it and realize that we are working hard every day to move our city forward. And, my motto, Rich, is leave it better than I found it. And that's why I work every day to try to make sure I do that. I really want to make a difference here. And I just keep my head down and work. And I appreciate people recognizing that. But it's all about making a difference here.
Well, as I've mentioned many times on this show, when you and I have talked, you're kind of a cat with 9 lives. You've reinvented yourself so many times, and you ran for mayor a couple of times, actually, and you eventually get elected, and your goal all along was to give back. You weren't looking at being mayor as a promotion in life, but an opportunity to give back to a city that you love. And you're in your 80s, and there's no sign of letting up. I mean, it's possible you'll be 101, and we'll be talking on this show about the last 20 years and the great work that you've done. But you don't feel your age, do you?
No, God is good to me, man. I know I don't. Rick, I look back on it, and I was very disappointed at the times that I ran and lost, and I ran 3 times, Rick. I finally won it the 3rd time, but I started back in 97 running for this job and ran again in 2017 and I lost. And I ran again in 2021, and I was able to win at that time. And each one of those times I lost, Rick, I was just devastated, man, because I just always fortunately been a winner. I've always been successful. And when I lost, man, it was tough. I mean, I'm an athletic guy. I went to college on a football scholarship. So I'm used to winning. And when I lost, it was all on me. I'm thinking it's all on me and something is about me that people are rejecting. And man, I was devastated. But at the same time, Rick, as time passed, I realized that God was preparing me for this job. It wasn't my time to have this job. And I really do believe, Rick, that's why I am having the success that I'm having, because God prepared me for this job. And nothing is new to me, and nothing is surprising to me. Anything comes up, I have a pretty good idea on what I need to do about it. So as I look back on it now, I'm glad I didn't get the job at that time, because it wasn't my time, and I'm better prepared for this job now because I lost.
Well, what that tells you about your spirit is that you are an incredibly resilient man. And if I look back in my career, when there were moments of disappointment, whatever it might be, and, I remember, I can still reflect a lot about those moments and what was going through my head at the time. And oftentimes, what it did for me is it made me sort of reflect internally and also think about the people who are around me. And I would say, God, man, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky to be in this moment, in spite of whatever this disappointment might be. I'm so lucky. And what I would do is reflect in a way that said, okay, now how can I address this in a way that is leading by example? That says, okay, we have this disappointment, but what can I do to rise above that and move to wherever it is I need to go? And I did that throughout my career. I was always able to look at it positively. I mean, one guy once called me a wallflower, and I said, well, a wallflower is kind of shallow. It's someone who might observe something and just be overly optimistic about something that you don't really need to be overly optimistic about. In my case, I was positive about something I had a deep, deep, deep understanding of, and had felt it deep in my soul. And I said the same thing, Mayor. I said that it was a bit of divine intervention, preparing me for this next challenge that might come along. I thought a lot about that after Hurricane Katrina. I thought a lot about that after the oil spill. That these collection of experiences that enabled me to lead were profoundly important to me. And that may be exactly what happened to you, that you weren't quite ready for whatever reason. And it would be no good to pout about it. Just get ready for the next time. And that's what you did. And it's paying off for that city now. And I'm thrilled that it is.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's what I tell young people now, Rick, is that when you have a setback, failure is not final. Just because you have a setback or you fail, it doesn't mean that's the end. So what do? You go inside of yourself, like I said, reflect on yourself and find out what can you do better. And you keep growing and learning from that. Use that time to learn and grow based on what you think you could do better. So don't just stop. Use that time to grow and keep reading and keep learning and keep developing. So when you finally get there, you're more better prepared to stay there. And so that's what I did. Even though I lost, I just kept being involved. I kept preparing. I kept thinking. I kept meeting other people, dealing relationships. I just kept growing because I figured at some point I'll be able to use all this information that I'm gathering. And so that's what I encourage young people now. Don't stop because you fail. Use that as a stopping, as a jump off point to say, how can I learn from this failure that I just had? Let's make myself better based on that failure.
Yeah, there's several bullet items that you and I will chat about, like the Sawmill Landing Park and the military rally and some other things. But I want to reflect just a bit on where we are in this conversation. And it's one of the things that inspires me most about your leadership is this notion that you're planting trees that you'll never see the shade of. And I'm curious about something because I talk about it on the show a lot, and that is that the wheels of democracy can turn very slowly, and there's actually a reason for that. I mean, part of the reason is to get people involved in democracy, and sometimes that's messy and takes time. It keeps bad things from happening. Usually, that's not always the case, but it usually is the case. But it is a slow process to achieve success, whether we're talking about economic development or infrastructure improvements or whatever it might be. Just kind of at this point in your tenure as mayor, what are you most surprised about?
I'm not so much surprised about how slow government works. What I guess I'm surprised about is that, we have so many people in our community that is not aware of what is going on and how slow it takes to get things done. What I'm doing now, what I'm finding out that I need to do, along with trying to plant that tree and set the foundation for others to build on, is that I'm trying to use this platform to also inform, and I use the word educate our people about the process. Because I think the more people understand the process, they would better appreciate what's all involved in getting these things done. So I'm trying to set a foundation, educationally as well as physical foundation, that when I'm out of here, somebody can build on all of that. And the way I'm trying to inform people is through the podcast that I do, the short videos that we do, just keeping people along the way, letting them know what we're doing almost every day, every month. We're giving them a report about where we are. That's what we're trying to do. And we're building that foundation so that, yes, I will not be here to reap the benefit, but the foundation will be solid that somebody can build on that foundation. I can't be so selfish to think about, I'm just going to do enough while I'm here. No, I got to build a foundation that somebody can build on even after I'm gone. If I really care about this city, I want the city to be prosperous even when I'm not around here. So you have to set the foundation for those things to happen and hope that somebody come behind me and just build on that and make it even better. But you got to have a foundation to build on. And that's what I'm trying to do, build that foundation.
Yeah, that is so true. That defines legacy in a way, and in some respects that might have been missing in Moss Point. And sometimes if that's missing, it takes a bit of time to sort of get your legs under you as it relates to that. But when we get back on the other side, we'll talk about some of the great successes that have occurred in Moss Point as we continue our conversation with Mayor Billy Knight. See you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. We're having a conversation with one of my heroes in coastal Mississippi, Mayor Billy Knight of Moss Point. And I really do mean that. Over the last several years, I've had this wonderful opportunity to get to know this dedicated public servant better. And again, he didn't have to do this. He could have rode off into the sunset, I don't know, 2 or 3 careers ago. I mean, if you really want to be honest about it, but we're lucky to have him, and I think a lot of people know that. You've had some good success while you've been in the seat as mayor, as you said, building this foundation that hopefully someone can move forward with. There's a lot of opportunity, whether we're talking about I-10 at the interchange coming into Moss Point, or whether we're talking about the River City and this unique opportunity you have downtown that is showcased in events like Cruising the Coast, for example. Talk a little bit about Sawmill Landing Park.
Yeah, Rick, Sawmill Landing Park is right at our front door coming in from the north on Highway 613 into Moss Point. When you come off that 613 bridge into the city of Moss Point, Sawmill Landing Park is just to your right. You can see it from the top of that bridge. And when I came in here talking about cleaning up our city and changing the image of our city, I thought about it from the standpoint of our interests. When you're coming in from the north, you're coming in from the south, you're coming in from the east automobile, that's our front door. I call that my front door. And I want my front door to look good. The front door of a house, when you look at a house, the front door, everybody want to know what the front door look like, because that's what kind of catches the eye of everybody. Well, coming into our city, I see it as our front door. So I want our front door to look good and inviting. So Sawmill Landing Park was sitting there, had been donated. Land Trust bought that property, donated to the city. And yet that property sit there with $200,000 to renovate that project. It's a natural park. It was donated to us to make sure we keep it a natural park. The city of Moss Point from 2015 to 2021, they had $100,000 in this pot for a project. They had $200,000 for a project. They had money, $1 million in different projects, but none of the projects had enough money to complete them. So I called XDMR, the Thailands, if they would allow me to consolidate all that money, $200,000, $100,000 over here. And they said yes. So we ended up with $1 million, and we used that money to renovate and bring that property to life. On December the 7th, we dedicated that project. We had a great time. A lot of people showed up. It's a natural park now that's right at our front door that's coming off of 613. We're excited about that property, Ricky. If you ever get a chance, you got to go and walk through that project and just see what it really looked like. We got solar lights out there. We got a beautiful walkway, a beautiful parking area. We got a pier that goes out into the water where people can bird watch. They can fish off that pier. You can launch a kayak in that area. It's a historical park. There used to be the sawmill in Moss Point that produced wood that was shipped all over the country from that location. So it's a historical spot that our people have now that they can cherish and enjoy for the rest of their lives. I'm proud about that, Rick. So that is the one project that we did that I can really say we got off the ground since I got here, and now people can really enjoy that project.
Mayor, when you think about it, when you're coming south from I-10, when you take that turn, whichever, it doesn't matter which direction you're headed from, that turn is right there at the big Pascagoula River I-10 bridge. But as you turn off and come into Moss Point, when you go over the bridge that goes over the channel there, that's like when you look south from there, that's your view of the city. That's your first impression of the city. And it's kind of a beautiful first impression when you think about the water and everything that comes together there. I can't wait to go look at it now.
Yeah, right across from Sawmill Landing Park is that beautiful waterfront property, which is right downtown Moss Point, which is another part of that development that we talking about revitalizing. When we talk to our state legislators, we talk about revitalizing downtown Moss Point, where there used to be businesses when they widened the interstate, 613, they tore these buildings down on the south. So we got this vacant land there now that's right in front of City Hall that we're getting ready to revitalize. The state 2 years ago gave us $1 million to start that process, Rick. And now we're asking for another $3 million to upgrade that waterfront that will be compatible with our downtown development that we're doing. The public space we're talking about revitalizing on the waterfront, people will always enjoy it. Rick, just for Christmas, we just had our Christmas parade this past Saturday. And our fireworks, and we have Christmas boats on the river. We hold 5,000 people downtown, Rick, Saturday night. For the boat parade, we had 20 boats that entered the parade that had all these beautiful boats decorated with Christmas lights. And at the end of it, we had a firecracker blast that kind of ended the evening. Rick, there was 5,000 people downtown enjoying that. So we upgraded all that so it could be compatible with what we're doing downtown revitalization. And so when I tell a developer that you got 5,000 people downtown on the first Friday in December, then they know if that got 5,000 people, they might walk in my store. So I call that a redevelopment plan that we're trying to devise so that when I talk to the developer, we tell them how many people we get. And we got that many people coming downtown 3 or 4 times a year, and you something to get them to walk through your door, and that's what developers want, the businessmen want. And so we're excited about all the things that we got going, Rick, and the opportunity that we have here on our waterfront.
It really is exciting. You think, you said it before, you want to create, I don't know if you said like 4 cruises on the coast or 4 Christmases or 5 Christmases or whatever, but you want big events to bring people there. And if you think about the opportunities for merchants, when you're talking, you're thinking about getting money from the state to help with revitalization of the park and then, of course, the downtown area. Haley Barbour used to say this after Hurricane Katrina a lot, that the state and federal government will help people get back on their knees after Hurricane Katrina, but it's private enterprise is going to get them back on their feet. And so you have to create an environment where business can be successful. And that's where all of your focus has been. How can we provide a template so businesses can be successful? You want them coveting the opportunity to come to downtown Moss Point, like we're seeing in downtown Pascagoula as we speak.
Absolutely, Rick. And I go back to when you mentioned the Christmases. I go back to when I had my own clothing store, and I tell the story about Christmas for any retail is the best time of the year. If you don't make any money doing Christmas, you had a bad year. So what I'm trying to create for developers is 4 or 5 Christmases a year. So we got 5 major activities that come downtown Moss Point right now. And I'm trying to develop that profile for a developer that if I can tell a developer that you're going to have anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 people downtown on this waterfront every year, then the developer will say, I want to put my business down there because that many people, I'm going to get something coming to my store. And so that's the profile that I'm trying to build, that when I talk to the developer, we can give them that data to say, look, in March, you're going to have 5,000 people downtown. In December, you're going to have another 5,000 people downtown. And when you tell a developer that, then they can say, well, yeah, we can take a chance on that. So I'm trying to be successful. I don't want them to come here and struggle. So I'm trying to build the profile first so that I don't have to tell them that they may come. They're already coming. And
well, the other thing that's cool
now, but they're coming already.
Well, yeah, and to bring those 5,000 people for that event, that Christmas event, then the chances that some of them are going to come back, especially if they eat somewhere or shop somewhere or do something that says, man, we got to go back there. There was something unique about that place. I want to go participate in that. Hey, listen, in the short time we have left, you've been really working hard as it relates to veterans. Tell me more about that.
About what, Rick?
The military rally.
Oh, Rick, that was the thing. You know, my heart is for veterans. I got 3 brothers that was in the military. And, you know, I kind of feel guilty, Rick, because I didn't go to the military. I was teaching school. I was a math teacher. And so I was able to get a deferment because I was a math. Anybody that was in math and science during the Vietnam War, you know, they was able to get a deferment. So because I was teaching mathematics, I was able to get a deferment. But I really kind of feel bad about that because I really wanted to serve my country. But since I did not serve, and I got 3 brothers that served, military people have always been a part of my heart. And so I really want to do something for the military. So it was brought to me, it wasn't my idea, but it was brought to me to our community development office that there are so many veterans out there that don't know how to access the system. They don't know how to get services that they deserve. And so we had what we call a military rally because they don't like to be called retirees or anything like that. So we call a military rally at Pelican Landing, and we had 80 veterans that signed up. Now, there was more than that there, but 80 of them signed up to get some type of support. And we're going to do that every year, Rick.
That is so awesome to hear that. Hey, listen, we're going to have Martha Allen join us after the break, but we'll ask the mayor to stick with us for a second so he can give us a quick report on the 2024 Governor's Fund announcement. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank studio. We'll be going to Martha Allen from Extra Table here in just a second. But before we do, I want to finish this one point of the conversation with Mayor Billy Knight from Moss Point. And that is, I had a bullet item here about the 2024 Governor's funded announcements. What's the latest on that, Mayor?
But Rick, the first thing I ought to say that we are so happy that we have developed a relationship with our legislators and the governor because every year they've been very supportive of Moss Point by giving us funding to do these kinds of projects that I've suggested that we get going with our board. You know, we're excited about. We got $1.1 million. We got overall this 2024. We got $6.8 million. And that money is spread out for the Trenton Lott Airport. We got $1.1 million to increase the taxiway at the airport. There's a lot of things happening at the airport, Trenton Lott Airport. And we're excited about that because that's inside of the city of Moss Point. We got $3.6 million, Rick, to upgrade that waterfront property that I was talking about so we can be compatible with what we're trying to do downtown. And Rick, we also got $1.65 million for a pipeline that we're trying to go north to Helena where the industrial park is. And that is about resources for Moss Point. If we get that pipeline going up there, we can get $500,000 a year just off that industrial park coming into Moss Point. I'm trying to increase our tax structure. And these projects that I'm asking the state for is all about improving our tax structure. And once we get these things going, that's the foundation I'm talking about that will be here long after I'm gone, that we'd have a good tax base when I'm gone.
Yeah, but infrastructure happens in so many different ways. It could be infrastructure around a park. It could be infrastructure around a downtown. It could be a pipeline. Those are not always, some of those are sexy actually, but those are not always the sexiest things, but they do incredibly enable so many other things to happen. And it's great that the governor and the coastal legislative delegation has supported the city of Moss Point in that effort. Listen, it's been a pleasure to spend some time with you, my friend.
Thank you so much, Rick. And I wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, man. And let's stay in touch, Rick.
You bet. Same to you. We'll see you after the first of the year.